Okay, what I got out of this module was about poverty, which is the living standard of people. And I got out of it stereotyping. And something that stood out to me throughout the module in a certain paragraph and a certain page was on page, I believe, 304. And it was a quote that said, "We tend to attribute more positive characteristics to our own in groups than to our own out groups." Um, I feel like this meant that we pay more attention to the people that we like basically have stuff in common with rather than people we don't have anything in common with because we think they're different than us. And like for example, like one of the students in our class stated that she mostly hangs out with cheerleaders because they get her and they have more in common. Which you wouldn't know that I've been cheering since I was in the second grade. So even though I'm not a cheerleader at SFA, we still have something in common because I cheered all the way until my high school years was over. So I feel like, not to say that she was stereotyping me, but I felt like that's a stereotype too. And also the module was talking about stereotypes within genders. Um, I know one of the sentences was like that um, a man was driving and he thought that it was a man driving bad, but it was actually a woman. So he was like, "Oh, that man can't drive. Oh, that woman can't drive, or whatever. They can't drive." So, and I see a lot of stereotyping with men and women, and even in race too. When you see people say, "Oh, Mexicans can't drive because they're Mexican," "Oh, blacks can't read," and also, something else that stuck out to me was when it was talking about the stereotyping with poor people within the education. It stuck out to me because it was talking about how parents that are less fortunate or poor don't come to the school activities. They're less involved, so they're more involved in at home with them doing their homework and making bedtimes, and um, they're just more involved at home. And I've seen personal experience with some of my friends. They were less fortunate and their parents still came to all their activities, all their band activities, cheer activities, basketball activities. So I just feel like being poor has nothing to do with you being involved in your child's life. Like, I understand people don't want to be judged, but it's the way that you carry yourself so you won't be judged. Um, I feel like some people go off of stereotypes because of their beliefs that they have, and um, I know something in the module that stuck out to me too was when it said about the dominant norms, and I feel like what that meant to me was that there's a lot of people that walk around here and don't really appreciate the normal people. Like, I guess you would say that it was talking about the norms are like the poor people. So I just feel like we stereotype poor people because they're poor, and we feel like also too, poor people do have um a option of being poor and putting certain, what is it, um obligations in their life. So I feel like sometimes they don't have, some people don't have a choice. And I know the video was talking about how most people that you see on the streets and that you see walking around that are poor are mostly children. And um, I just feel like we just have a world of stereotyping because we're used to something that, like my parents, for instance, like my mom's a teacher and my stepdad, he's a math geek and he works on computers at a hospital. So people would think that I'm rich because I stay in a two-story house, but little do they know I came from the hood. Like, I lived in the hood. So, and people think that I'm rich, but if you see my car, like, then they think otherwise. So it's like they're stereotyping me, and I see a lot of people doing that these days. Because just because I have a two-story house does not mean that I'm rich. So I really think stereotyping is in the community, education, and I think it all comes, stereotyping comes from the beliefs, like your religion and all that too. So I really think it comes from the parents, like watching the parents stereotyping and stuff like that. So that's how I felt about the module.